parcel has come. I'm so excited to show you what's inside. But first of all, I have to give a massive shout out to Paul Urbina and Lineage Innovations. Yeah? All right. Okay. Now, let me show you what's here. I'm just going to pin it up here for you to see. And what you're looking at is what has been labeled as the celestial sky. The celestial sky are people who are considered ancestors who have given their lives for us, for African lives, for the betterment of our people, political thinkers, activists, artists, creatives, academics, you name it, all of them are in this area called the celestial sky. But what we're going to do, we're going to move across, okay, and we're going to move across to this period here. And this is the year 2000, and then you have 2100, and then you have the 1900, 1800, 1700, and so on. And we are situated here at the moment. But what I want to do is just bring it here. And this period of time here, between the 1500 and the 1900, seems to be the focus point for when people speak about Black history or African history. And within that segment is the North American slave trade, the English slave trade, French slave trade, and Dutch slave trade. And this seems to be where people discuss African history. But what I want to show you is African history is not just that period of time there. This is a period of time that interrupted African history, and there is so much more to understanding about Black lives and also about the African story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it across here. And then I'm just going to stop here. And I'm going to keep going. Just look at all of this rich history. We're still going. Now I'm going to go back this way and just look at all of this. All of this. Now, if we just focus to this point here, the red section is BC. And the blue section is AD. Now, we know more about the AD side. And as you can see, it's a very short piece. It's just here. Obviously, it's 2,000 years or 2,000 years plus. And there's so much that's happened throughout the world, in Europe and in the Americas and in Africa. But it's here. Just look at the length of the red piece that goes all the way back. If we go right to the far side, you have something that's called the calendar circle or Naphtali, and that is in an area that we know as Nubia. Some people may say Kush. Now, this is in 6270 BC, 6270 BC. So we're talking about a good 2,000 plus years prior to Stonehenge. Let me say that again. This calendar circle, which is in an area called Nubia, okay, is in 6270 BC of when it's, the rough time of when it's recorded. And this is over 2,000, nearly 3,000 years before Stonehenge was even created or even thought about. And as we go along, there's one thing I want to focus on, and it's this KMT. KMT is a short abbreviation for what we know as Kemet. Some people call it that part of Africa, Egypt, but Kemet. That's where we get the term alchemy from, which is the study or the science of black. Okay, chemist, same thing. So KMT, I know some black people like to put KMT for kiss me teeth, but what you're actually saying is Kemet. And Kemet is all of this. This is black, 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 black. But Europeans tend to focus more so on this area here. They love this part because it's in 832 BC when the Greeks then come in and invade Egypt, or Kemet at the time, and it becomes Egypt, and which comes from the Greek word Egyptos, meaning burnt vases. And then prior to that, going this way, you have a few shifts and change in dynasties, but at the same time, it's still Europeans trying to find their way. But they're in the Greek Dark Age prior to that, so they have no knowledge, no understanding of science. But it's when they invade Egypt and they're like, whoa, hold on a minute, look at all of this stuff. The Temple of Solomon, blah, 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 blah. They're just really excited and they teeth out a lot of ideas and teeth out a lot of things, okay? And then after that, you get the Roman period. And within the Roman period, again, they invade Egypt or Kemet, and then they have their little moment as well. So all of this happens in this period here, but this is what they want to focus on. So when they focus on this period, they magnify this to say Greek philosophy and, you know, Pythagoras. They say that Pythagoras, or Pi, 3.14, it originates in Greece. But if you look, you can see pi was used for all of the sciences that are along here. So pi comes way before Greek or Greece, the idea of Greece even exists. Okay, moving on from there, and we're getting closer to this time. You're starting to see a shift in dynasties. You're starting to see a shift in kings and queens. You start to see a shift in understanding the black world. The Arab invasion of North Africa starts to become more present here. But this is a Dark Ages period along here. And then you get to something called the Middle Ages. So during, let's say from 1 AD right up until, let's say, the 1300s, this period of time here, Europe is docile, it's bleak. There is so much happening in terms of anarchy. We're talking about, you know, witch hunts for women who thought against the patriarchal society. It's a whole madness, but it's through the, you know, influence of the North Africans or the Moors at the time, bringing in sciences and philosophies and mathematics and other things into Europe, where they started to develop small little pockets. But it's this period of time here when Europe is literally a place that no one really wants to go to. It's literally barbaric. It's absolutely barbaric. But it's from the 1400s right up until where we are now, where they sort of highlight, oh, they, you know, they're great people, and, you know, these ideas, and the Enlightenment period that comes in the late 1600s that goes on to the early 1800s. They sort of like think of that, but that sort of comes off the idea of this point here called the Renaissance period. And this is, you know, good equals God equals white equals man. And that's the philosophy that sort of pushed this narrative of Africans being savages. But, you know, how can we be savages when we have all of this rich history here? All. If you go to this point here, you can see where the Ptah, let's say, you could say like a little mini statue of Ptah. Okay, that's where we get the idea of Peter from. And then you have Oscar. The Oscar Award is based upon Kemet ideology of Ptah. So again, there's different sections, but the main thing, the main thing is this yellow line here. This yellow line here is what's called the gene of Eve, or the Eve gene. And what it's about the certain types of DNA, or the special type of DNA runs through the mother principle. So that's where we get the idea of my art from. It's still focusing on the right brain. When we go through school and education, we focus on the left brain more so when we're dealing with like logistics and, you know, analytical stuff. But the emotional side and the spiritual side is connected to the right side, and it's about following the mother principle. The mother principle always follows through, always follows through. until I would say 1500 BC, and that's when you start to see a change when the Europeans start to push out more of their barbaric and savage philosophy. And you can see here the end of political Kemet is here, and if you can see Pythagoras is right there. That's when things start to change, when the Europeans start to put themselves first and put women behind, you know. And even when we go right up until the early 1900s or even late 1800s, when you go to places like United States, we have the suffrage movement, you know, you have European men who will stop their mother, daughter, sister, wives, auntie, grandma from voting, because they want to put themselves first. And we are the ones that were begging them, please can we get the vote? And these white men didn't even want their own family members voting. So the whole idea of being barbaric and putting women second, strictly Europe. And there's so much information here where it breaks down the mother principle or the female principle, because it's so important to understand about balance. Yeah. But there's too much, and this video will go on forever. But this is the African lineage timeline, and it's such a brilliant piece. It needs to be in everybody's household. You have Oset, Haru, and Osar. Some people like to say Isis, but that's more of a modern European term. We have Oset, Haru, and Osar. And when you get the word set, like set up or a set of things, that's where that comes from, because Oset was the one who arranged the body parts and sort of tried to piece together her king, essentially. But the term set comes from that mother principle there. And again, it's just rich in history. There's so much, you know, that's still being left unturned. You know, there's so much to find out, but the fact of the matter is all here, you know, and a lot of it does originate in Kemet or KMNT. Yes, other places like West Africa, southern part of Africa, there was definitely rich history there, which could be a whole other section, and it could expand definitely. But as a base point, as a foundation, this is just a brilliant piece. Just follow me one more time and just have a look. Starting from here, you have something called the Shango Bong, and we're going back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And this Shango Bone is where they started to do mathematics. So you can see it's like tally marking. And this is the first ever discovery of humans experiencing mathematics, or putting out mathematics in a sense, ever. Obviously, it's in Africa, or it wasn't called Africa at the time, but you know what I mean. So if we just follow it through one more time, you can see how powerful the Nile is. You know, you have the Nile, which starts in what we know as Uganda, okay, as the White Nile, and it shoots up and it connects to the Blue Nile, which comes from Ethiopia, and then it goes up through Sudan and up into what we know now as Egypt. So it starts off down below and it moves up. So that's why they say down north and up south, because the actual Nile starts in the central part of Africa and then it moves up. So going over to here, this is how the orientation of Africa used to be like. So left equals east, right equals west, front equals south, back equals north. So they flipped it around and it was that way. But obviously Europeans came in and switched up the whole educational system, and the whole maps, you know, were like Mercator map as well, which is a, you know, racist slave map, because it was about sailors navigating to how they can get to the Americas, which we have in schools now. Essentially is the wrong map to use. But anyway, the timeline is just phenomenal, and it's just a brilliant piece of history, true history, that everybody needs in their household. So shout out to Paul Abina. Great piece of work. If you want to get your hands on this, send an email to lineageinnovations@gmail.com. lineageinnovations@gmail.com. shut up, Paul, and get yourself one of these. It's so important. Peace and blessings.